All right. Welcome to the Big Ticket Life, where my guests are doing life and business on their terms. They break the rules, they see the opportunities. They've had struggles, they've had highs and lows, and yet they've always remained focused on the goal, a life and business led by themselves on their terms, their way, unapologetically focused on their success and the success of those around them. We celebrate success here because we live the big ticket life. If you're going to live a big ticket life and do business in life on your terms, you got to do big things. It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today. And so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms. All right. So the Hulk hands, real quick before I introduce our amazing guest. We had a guest on our podcast show last week, Brandon Brittingham, the king of unleashing an alter ego for success. My alter ego is Incredible Hulk. So we're going to start every episode with the Hulk hands on, but I do need to navigate some stuff as we go, and these hands are not conducive to that. But that's why we've got the Hulk hands. So I want all of our listeners to listen to our amazing guests who bring out in their own ways, their own alter egos to push themselves higher for more success in their life and those around them. I think that's very, very important. And I'm ever so grateful to have met the amazing Versace gorilla, Brandon Brittingham, and have him teach me that. But our guest this week, along with his team, they're one of the most sought after dog trainers in the industry. They're based out of Hampton Roads, Virginia. What started out as a side hustle in the backyard has grown into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And what's most exciting about what Josh does is it's businesses built on top of businesses, which I think is very cool and an opportunity for you to learn. He combines his passion for dogs along with his experience in business, finance, and real estate. And that has allowed his team to create an unforgettable experience for their clients. And you know you're doing business in life on your terms when the domain for your website is .dog. Welcome to the show, Josh Wilson of Off the Leash Canine.
Jeff, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I am fantastic.
That's awesome.
This is actually podcast number 2 for the day. So I am like in that podcast mode.
I love it. That's always a good rhythm to get into.
It is.
I just want to take a quick second before we get started and thank you for having me on, giving an opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do and who we are. And man, it's just a pleasure. The setup that you have, your team, from scheduling to here going live has just been so smooth. And having done some of these, that's not always the case. And It's just, a pleasure. So thank you again for having me on here.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time. I know you're a very busy person. We're a part of the amazing Apex group, and I have challenged myself to level up in that room. I feel very inferior around folks like yourself and many others, but I have tried to create a platform for giving. This platform is one of them. And so I appreciate you recognizing it. And it's not done. Chris is our producer in the background from Cast Ahead. If you're looking to do anything at all like this, if it feels good, looks good to you, reach out to me and I will make a tremendous introduction to Chris. But
yeah, Chris is the man. And how about Apex, Jeff? I mean, you talk about you feel so inferior in that room.
Yep.
I agree. And the crazy thing to me is I'm starting to believe more and more that every one of us in that room feel the exact same way. And
Amen.
That
You're right.
tells me that I'm very blessed to be in the right room. The humility in that space, it just blows my mind every time there's a conversation.
I'll echo that about everybody feeling inferior because there are literal 7, 8, 9, 10-figure leaders in that room. Like
Yeah.
on the tax form, I'm not busting anybody's cover if I were to name names and the IRS tunes in today. Like it's on the tax form.
Yeah.
So it's not the social media guru math. It's real math.
Yeah. There's
And
some heavies in the room.
there are heavies, and the heavies seem to be the most humble and giving and inviting, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. Which the takeaway for this, I mean, I don't make any referral money for Apex. I don't know that you do. I don't think you do. I don't strike me that you'd be the kind of person who would. But the takeaway from this is you're going to hear about Apex on my shows often. Get your whatever room you get yourself into a room of great people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely.
We can't do life on our own.
I mean, there's a version of your life that you absolutely can do on your own, but I don't know that version is what we would aspire to live.
Right.
And it's particularly if you are in the entrepreneur space. You have your own business, you're doing your own thing, whether you're a one person shop or hundreds of employees. It is a lonely world, and it is 100% worth it. And you got to be off a little bit to really enjoy it and be about it.
Yep.
However, it is a lonely world. And if you can find yourself in a room with people that get that, it doesn't matter that your space or not. It's probably better for you if it's not the world that you live in day to day, but they understand the mentality. They understand what it takes. They understand the headaches. And as a group, there's going to be somebody that, if nothing else, someone who can just listen and empathize with where you're at in that moment or that season of life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that what you just said is kind of the theme of my day so far. That first show I was on, I said, our world needs to be more open to listening, more tuned in to receive. Mm-hmm. We're so plugged in, like just so like overcharged, overconnected, not in a good way. You can be overconnected in a networking group, a networking mastermind like Apex is, and there's others, but there's a negative aspect of being overconnected. And when you're just not tuned into listening, whether that's the higher power you might believe in, that's those around you tuning into the vibes they're putting out. If you're just not like open to receive that, you can't possibly give back.
Right.
And that's a quality that is a common thread of many of our friends, our brothers and sisters in Apex. So that's very cool. But we share one common thing, love of dogs.
Absolutely.
Specifically for me, it's rescue dogs. I've been active in animal rescue for a number of years. We have, not presently, but we have 3 dog crates in our house. We have our 2 boys, but typically our 3rd crate's the rotational crate to bring in the cases that need help the most. So like, and I told Josh in our pre-show, like, I want to spend a couple minutes of this because I'm really passionate on rescue dogs. And if you're watching, if you're listening, by the way, we had somebody comment, John, hello, thanks for tuning in. John from LinkedIn, tuning in. But, folks, puppies are great. Puppies are fun. They're cute. You create a bond that's unique. But I'm telling you, rescue dogs, there's another unique bond there. What do you think about that, Josh? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I am really big on the right dog for the right family. And a lot of times that absolutely can be and may be a rescue dog, depending on, your goals and intentions, for the dog that you're looking to add to your family. A rescue dog may not be the best route to go. Specifically, we train all types of things, but we work with service animals and train service dogs and stuff. And if someone is contacting me and it's for a very specific task, for a dog, a life saving task at that, I'm probably going to steer away from the rescue side only because they shouldn't be taken. Well, I heard that this type of dog, is really good at whatever task I may need performed for me. All right, so I'm going to go to the rescue and I'm going to try to find a dog that fits that bill. Whereas for me, if I need a dog that I'm hoping is able to alert me for it's a diabetic alert dog, as an example, um,
Hmm.
and I'm in a scenario where I'm using equipment, I'm using meds, and I'm also adding the dog to my toolbox to keep me in check and keep me alive. If I'm going to invest in that dog, I'm going to search out a breeder in that instance that has had high success, their dogs, those lineages that have
Yep.
functioned well and performed well for those specific tasks, rather than saying, oh, I heard golden doodles made good diabetic alert dogs. Let me go find a doodle at the rescue.
Right.
Now, that's a very specific scenario, right?
Yep.
If I'm looking for a dog, I want to add a companion to my home. Absolutely. Yes. Look at the rescues. And there's unfortunately, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dogs in these shelters. And right
Every day.
now, they are being overran so much because, you know, COVID, and I
Hmm.
hate talking about COVID. It
Right.
gets on my damn nerves, but here we
You and me
are.
both.
But we called it, the COVID puppies. We
Right.
started to see in late summer of 2020, we were just getting these puppies in, 5, 6, 7 months old. And man, these were the worst puppies I had ever seen in my life. And we train a lot of dogs, and these dogs were just terrible. And I'm starting to think, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not that smart of a guy, but I start kind of processing a little bit. These dogs have been cooped up. Everybody's home. So they went out and got dogs because now we have time for a dog, but
Yep.
everyone's cooped up. No one's going anywhere. So there's no socialization. They're not meeting new people. They're not around other dogs, getting to play with and get that socialization. No real environmental work besides what takes place in their home or their backyard. So now they've got this dog that's just growing and growing and is a complete nightmare. Josh, can you fix it? Well, we can help, but there's a lot
Right.
of pieces that got missed during that very important developmental stage between 2 and 5 months that the dog you can't make up for.
Right.
You can't make up for. And so, a lot of these dogs now have gotten older and people continue to get dogs over the last 18 to 24 months, but limiting activity. Now they're full grown dogs with pretty heavy behavior issues. And so, what's the easiest thing? Because now everyone's going back to work. So what do we do? Well, that dog we had time for summer of 2020, and that was a good idea. We're going to go ahead and drop back off at that shelter because I'm back at work now. It's really not a good fit for the dog. We are seeing it every single day um, of dogs being dumped that were picked up in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really sad and it's incredibly frustrating. You've got to pick the right dog. A dog is not a cute Christmas present. A dog is not something to fill your emotional void for 60 days until you get over the breakup. A dog is a commitment to that. It's a living creature. It's a commitment for life. And, I won't get running too hard, but it just, man, it
Well,
pisses me
yeah.
off all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, what you do is, you're on the back end of all of the improper behavior and improper, maybe well-intentioned, bad intentions, right?
Yes.
What I thought you were going to say was that shelters are high because of the post-holiday drop-off, but I kind of forgot about the COVID situation.
Yeah.
But both
It
probably
plays
have.
into it. They
Yeah,
both play into
yeah,
it, and it doesn't help. And then, like anywhere else, these shelters and rescues, as with anything, you know, certain shelters and rescues are better than others, right?
right.
But the one thing that's going on right now that not just are they overpopulated with the dogs being turned back in, they're understaffed. They're
Yeah,
under volunteered. It's no different than any other company out there right now who's
yeah,
struggling to hire and get people in. There's more dogs and less people to help. It's a mess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're seeing it. I see it in some neighborhood groups that I watch where people express frustration about not just being able to go look at the dogs. Well, we're in a different time. I mean, we have to, especially in that organization, we have to be reasonable and understanding
Yeah,
about it. But yeah, I love rescue dogs, so I wanted to touch on this. I want to show mine because like I'm a dog dad.
that's right.
So
There
like
you go.
there's my boy Gizmo, the best dog ever out of all the dogs we've had. He's like I firmly believe every dog person gets one or two great ones. That's my personal belief. And Gizmo is one of those great ones, maybe the great one, even though he's in a mood right now where he's annoying me. But that Zeus, that's our other one. He's a great boy too. Loves my wife, just
Yeah.
loves my wife endlessly. And then Dee Dee, she's no longer with us. I'm still very heartbroken over her. This
Yeah.
was a rescue story. She was abused. Her one, let's see, would have been her left front leg was broken and fractured many times over. It was essentially just like falling apart.
Yeah.
And she wasn't a candidate for amputation. So it was about management of pain and just making her comfortable and understanding we'd have to make that decision, which we thought was coming due around this time. Like we hoped we could get through the holidays. We had a weekend where she was just like so loving, out of her shell, tail wagging for the first time in nearly a year. She'd never wagged her tail. And that Sunday night on that weekend, she was a little more lethargic. And then that Monday she had a stroke and she was gone Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it was just heartbreaking, that one. Out of all the things that we've had a lot of stories. That one was rough. But I will tell you, rescuing dogs is an amazing act of kindness. And I would urge everybody to put yourself through it. Even a Dee Dee story.
Yeah.
Put yourself through it because you're doing
And that
good.
with Dee Dee, I believe with my whole heart that energy and enthusiasm and the tail wagging and the stuff you saw a couple days before she passed, that was her thank you to you guys. That was her expressing in the only way that she could, her love for your family, the thank you for the time that you gave her and the quality of that time, which it sounds like seemingly wasn't what she was accustomed to. And and I really believe that. And dogs know things well before we do. And she sounds like an awesome dog who mustered it together to give you a big thank you before she knew her time was coming. So it's a awesome story of what you guys did. It's super commendable. People like to rescue the puppies. You don't see a lot of puppies in the shelters.
They go fast.
The senior dogs or special needs dogs, they don't really have great odds, on their end. And so the fact that you guys have it is something that you're passionate about, where you look for the special needs cases or the more senior dogs to make sure that their lives here on Earth, the last days, months, couple years, are the best that they can possibly be is amazing. And dogs need more humans like you, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, it's been around animals a large part of my life, and I just love the rescue aspect of things. Because I want to get into the business. I want to get into what you do and what drives you. So just if like we've inspired you, which I hope we would, if you're thinking this rescue thing sounds interesting, line up with a rescue organization that has a mission you groove with, and volunteer, go through the process, and see if being that foster home is a fit for you. It's incredible. It's really a way to kind of get into dog life without the full commitment, but you need to be committed to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. And jump into that network of folks, and you'll find there's a lot of support. A lot of these rescues pay for the medicines, the vet visits, things like that. They just need the people.
Yep.
I have a big belief as we shift into a business mode. This is a nice transition from animal rescue. I believe it's incumbent on business owners I have a saying, give your box for somebody to stand on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all things may not be equal in this world. Everybody's got their own stories. There's generational issues in this world. But I think as good business leaders, as good people, if we find a way to give our box, give our opportunity, share our success for others to build on, stand on, that's important.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that given a voice, given an opportunity, in things, like this, I mean, we're sharing each other's communities, in this
Yep.
moment. Our networks, while we do share a network, we have greater individual networks that we're now introducing, each other to. And it's why I think it's important to share one's stories and their passions, because so many people, I consider myself very fortunate to know what motivates me and what I'm passionate about, and to be able to make a living and take care of my family by pursuing those passions. So many people don't do that. And it's not lack of ability. Unfortunately, I think it's lack of clarity on what that is. And when people get out and share their stories and experiences, you never know who is gonna that little light bulb moment is gonna go off based on
Right.
something that you said or you shared. So no, I agree with you. I think it's a tremendous, not just an opportunity, but an obligation to do so. And whether that's with guests on your shows, inviting colleagues, friends with you to different networking events and opportunities, so many things can happen that allow people that opportunity to, hey, it, I'm not I'm not saying, hey, rah rah me, I'm hoisting you up. I'm just giving you an opportunity
Right. Yeah.
to show
Here
you
it is.
something,
Stand on it.
and here it is, and let us know what you're about and what's going on, and who you are.
Yeah. 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 It's very. I think that's a very good way to kind of conduct oneself out there. Speaking of network, speaking of individual network, I mean, here's the payoff. There's been, I believe it was Garen just commented. I don't know Garen. Maybe Josh, he's into your network.
Yeah.
Now he's in mine. But like, I believe so much in doing this stuff. Garen, there we go. Garen, thanks for tuning in. Like, uh, this is the growth of giving back, right? Like this
Yeah.
is what happens of the first handful of comments. I don't know. I don't know these people. I'll get to know them after the show more intentionally, but I appreciate them tuning in. So like this is how this stuff works. We got to give to receive in this world.
100%.
I know you don't like talking about COVID, but COVID puppies tell a story.
Sure, they do.
COVID puppies tell a story about business, right? And
Yeah.
I've said in relation to COVID, there's two approaches to COVID. You either make excuses or you choose to level up,
Hmm.
right? And I think the people, this might sound harsh, but the people who returned the puppies made excuses.
They
Uh,
100% did. Yes.
yeah, right. So, like in a business, from speaking of a business way, like what are those ways? Because you're high touch with your people,
Hmm.
right? You've got staff. So, what were those ways you leveled up, and what became new practice that you realized? Oh, wow, this is opportunity, this is growth, and this is great.
Yeah, so great question, and we've talked about this in the past on my show, and I talk about it often with friends and other business owners. Um, I When all this stuff first hit, in early 2020, that we were actually in the middle of construction on a
Ooh,
huge renovation project on a new business I was starting, a boarding and daycare business, and the world seemingly was shut down. And I look at my wife. We're 4 years, 5 years into the training business now, and for years I waited to open the boarding and daycare, waiting for the right property, not necessarily the right time. I don't necessarily believe in right timing. I think time is what you make of it.
right,
But I did need the right property to make the boarding and daycare make sense. We're very fortunate. People will come to us for the training, but the boarding and daycare piece is all about convenience for people. And
right,
so
right,
we're in the middle of construction. We are just, which we're not, there's no debt involved with it. We are cash flowing the whole thing, or using our own funds on, on hand. And so we're knee deep in this thing, probably waist at that point, actually. And the world shuts down. I'm like, huh, okay.
and literally
Um,
all your customers now get to stay home all day with the people they love the most.
Right. So we're in the middle of spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on a massive renovation, launching a new business that just happens to be dependent upon people doing what?
Leave,
Traveling and going
yeah,
to
leaving
work.
home. Yeah.
So we kind of
Oh,
had a big old oh shit moment. And, my wife and I discussed. And at the end of the day, I was like, here's the deal. We're going to do this regardless. We are not going to stop now, because what happens if I stop is there's just something that's producing zero income at all, and it's an unfinished project. we've got to get this thing done. We still had several months to go. And so I spoke with my wife. I came to a pretty good decision. She felt good about it. It's from a support standpoint. Spoke with my business partners and staff, and we decided, all right, we're going to delay opening, but we are going to continue moving forward with construction, because I had contractors, and everybody was kind of interpreting what was going on differently at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people were showing up to work, some people weren't on the contracting side, makes it difficult to build. And so finally we got into April, and I remember it was a Sunday night, and I called my COO and said, hey, tomorrow morning, my office, 9:00, we're opening next week. And she goes, huh? Like, we're opening next week. She's like, let's go. Let's get it done.
That's right.
And so I said, I don't care if there's one damn dog that comes through the door on the day we open. We're opening. And also, there was an opportunity there. Whereas, during that time, our medical community, our nurses, our doctors, our first responders, EMTs, these people are just getting slammed in these hospitals and these emergency rooms, and calls out to pick up people. And, they were just working like mad. And so we actually opened up at a limited capacity, and we said, hey, forget regular hours of operation. If you're in the medical community profession, you're a first responder, you're military, you're essential, you show up and you drop off your dog, and we're going to take them. We're going to take care of them during the day, because they weren't having the option to stay at home and work. Their kids daycares were being closed down. The kids' schools were getting shut down. So they're trying to figure out, how do I manage my family? I've got to go to work. I'm an emergency room nurse. I've got to go to work. I'm a specialist in the COVID ward. I've got to go. I'm military. I've got to go do this. I can't. My life is dependent upon support. And I think about all our military members who, they get stationed all over the world. And where I am here in Virginia, we have major bases for every single branch of our military.
Right.
And their community is the community. So now we're telling them, hey, you're essential. You've got to be at work, but your kids can't go to school. Your daycare is open. The nanny isn't available. They can't see your kid for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We took away all the community. I can't fix any of those things, but what I could fix was a problem they might have with their dog.
Right.
And so we said, hey, look, bring them.
Yeah.
And, we had one dog show up on that first day. One dog. And I've never been so excited to make $32 in my life.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, first of all, I was compelled to put the Hulk hands on, because, big ass Hulk fist bump to you in the middle of COVID. Boom. In April of 2020, you make a decision. And I was like, that was a great decision for this reason, but you just shared amazing more reasons why it was great. But I mean, imagine if you paused, right, in April of 2020, and you wait and you follow the rules and you do what everybody else in the world would give you free advice, which ain't worth anything because you didn't pay for it, right? And you pause.
Yeah.
And then you're in the rat race to finish when labor's high. I love these on. I'm just going to keep them on for a little bit.
Keep them on, man. I love the look.
When labor's high, material costs are high. I mean, we were at a point in time where just getting inspections and permitting was a problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's my reminder to take my Hulk vitamins and turn that off. I should have turned that off before. I got to change that. Anyway, so the point is, like, momentum pays dividends, right?
Yes.
And that's where I was like, wow, that's a really great thing I want to highlight on as you were sharing it. But the fact that you went forward, got open, which, like, what a peace of mind now when people are looking at construction projects and have been for the last year. But the fact that you were able to open, and that, it was one person, it was $32. But I guarantee you that one person that day, and maybe you can share the story if you have the info or not. And I don't want you to share personal info, but I would bet you were a godsend for that person that day, because
I think that
they just needed that relief. They needed you.
The big thing for me was there was so much unknown and there was so much negativity during that time. And the thing I kept trying to preach to my team is, hey, look, guys, we're going to control what we can control, and we are going to stay true to who we are and what we do. And for me, the only, with our on the dog training side, we were very fortunate. I consider ourselves very blessed in the sense that, our dog training business, and I'll jump into this at some point, but we're not really built like everybody else. We stay booked out months and months at a time. We've got trainers across the country. Um, and so when COVID first hit and things slowed down a little bit, my staff didn't really feel that burden or that hit because their schedule is full. And
Mhm.
so when everybody kind of froze, like, whoa, we are shut down. We're not going anywhere right now. We're not allowed to go to work. We can't do this or that or whatever. My team never felt that at all. So for me, I was looking at, man, they've actually shut down. They're stopping training. They've shut down their facilities. They're doing this. They're doing whatever it may be. We actually quadrupled down on marketing, even though sales were slower because people were trying to figure out what life was going to feel like at the moment. We went all in on it, and we got louder on social media. I got louder on Google. We got louder with our advertising. If people were just going to hear crap and they were going to hear negative stuff and fearful things, we were going to fill them with positivity, and we were going to let them see things that were exciting and were motivating. And people are going to forget about a lot of things during the last, what has now become coming on 2 years. What they weren't going to forget about, though, was my team, and they
Right.
weren't going to forget about the impact that we were wanting to have on the communities that we're present in, because that's what we could control. And, over the course of the last 2 years, we went from 4 locations to 9. We went from a team of 15 to 20 trainers to approaching 100. Our support staff, admin staff went from 2 or 3 to we're at 10, 11 now. It's things that we were able to do. And that's not, me saying those things to pat me on the back. What I'm saying, though, is that we made a decision to not wait and see what happens.
Yep.
And for every story I hear about, oh, well, I got shut down, or, oh, well, I this or I that, or I can't find work, or I've been trying to find a job. And man, get away from me with that crap. Because the reality is there's never been more opportunities to find work.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the history of the world. Like, I don't know a single person that's not looking to add to their team.
Right.
And, we just never bought into wait and see. But my mom also didn't raise me to be that person with a wait and see type of personality. I believe win or lose, it's going to be on my merit and my shoulders and the choices that we make. I'm not going to blame anybody. We're not going to look for excuses. And that's how I try to lead my team. And that's how I try to hold my team accountable. Not every day is a win. Some days you screw up. It's on us.
That's right. I mean, I love it all. I mean, you might see me making some notes. So one of the things I do post show is I take out some of the more poignant moments. This way, if somebody catches a replay and they got 10 minutes to dig in, like right here at about minute 33, and I'll go back, refine it.
Yeah.
You never bought into wait and see.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's so important. You kept doing the work, which is one of your apex core values, right? We do the work. That's incredible. Like I talked in the pre-show about neighborhood groups. I saw there was a local wedding boutique that closed. I mean, if there's never a time for a local wedding boutique to thrive when all the big chains have shut, it's now. Like, people didn't stop getting married. They didn't stop. Little girls didn't give up on their dreams as grown women to not wear a wedding dress just because COVID was out there.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
scheduling in venues may have been tough to get, and scheduling may have been a pain in the ass. My COO, gosh, we jokingly say she got married 3 times last year. Well, she got married twice last year for sure. Same guy, but she got married legally last March because she was just finally over it. It was supposed to be in 2020, and dates kept getting screwed up. So she got married, small service in March. Then she had her big party in November. And then we were in Vegas with our spouses in December. And my wife and I were trying to go get them married for a 3rd time. in Vegas at the
And
Taco Bell chapel, but she didn't pull the trigger on it.
right.
But she got it done. That's the
And I
thing. You can
bet you
still
she
get
wore
it
the
done.
dress.
She wore the damn dress.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it may not have been in a chapel where 200 people gather, and it may not have been at the 200-person event venue, but you better believe there are photos of her and many other women in a white wedding dress over the last 2 years. So yeah, in our retail business, my partner and I, we kept working. I mean, our employees were home.
Sure.
Because as a business owner, you got to balance a whole bunch of things with your team, right? But we kept doing the work because we believed in that. And I am very firm in my belief that work at that time is what's propelled us and will continue to propel us, because the machine kept going. The reviews kept coming in, the referrals kept coming in. You said on something you doubled down on your advertising. And I was looking it up because the name evaded me when you said it. But there's a story of two colas in the Great Depression. Moxie Cola and Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Coca-Cola.
That's right.
Moxie Cola was actually the bigger cola prior to the Depression.
Yeah.
They pulled back in their advertising. And we all know you can fill in the blanks from here. Coca-Cola took over. They never stopped advertising in the Depression. They kept going because they believed in their product. They're like, our product gives people happiness. Like, you think of Coca-Cola, happiness is part of it, right? The red can. And they kept going. And like, kudos to you for that. I love hearing stories like that.
I think that being a constant in your community, though. I mean, if whether you're just starting out or you've been around, 20 or 30 years, we're in year 8 now. And, I try to treat every day like we just started. And maybe it feels that way because we've opened a lot of new locations in the last year. And I do consider those brand new, locations and us just getting started. But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady? Nothing's steady anymore. Everything is, swings. Oh my God, I'm so pissed. Or, oh my God, I'm so happy. Like, you can be pissed and you can be happy and you can be consistent. And you don't have to be all over the place. And I'm so proud of my team and how consistent they are in the experiences that they provide to the clients, to the steadiness of the conversations that we've had with people over the last 2 years. Because, again, all they were hearing, and even still times, depending on what they watch and listen to, it's madness. It is absolute madness. Yet when they talk to us and what they see from us is a steadiness, a confidence, because I know there's hundreds of thousands of wonderful dog trainers out there. There are some great dog training companies out there. There's plenty of dogs for everyone to be very, very successful. But if they do the right things, they're good human beings. They care for the health and well-being of animals. I wish them all the success in the world. If they're dirtbag people and they don't prioritize and care for the health and well-being of animals first before their pockets and dollars, I wish them nothing but pain and suffering, and I'd like to give it to them. But it's
clapping for you for the clarity and sharing it.
We've stayed so focused on what we do because, again, I come back to it's what we can control, and that's all we can control. Clients just feel so good about that.
Yep.
And even whether they sign up with us or not to work with their dogs, I want people to leave feeling good about the conversation, having a lot of clarity on who we are and what we're about, and leave, if nothing but a 5, 10, 15-minute conversation they had with one of my client experience managers, they weren't thinking about crap going on in their life besides their dog that keeps jumping on Auntie Jean. You know what I mean?
Right.
That type of deal.
Yeah. So you've got the mindset figured out, which is what I'd like to talk about here on the show. You've got, and I alluded to it when I brought you in, you've got like kind of stacking businesses, what I call the equity within the equity of the business. So you've got the training component, the daycare component. What's the off the leash world look like? How many different businesses are there?
Yeah. So Off Leash Canine Training is in year 11. All right. It's a franchise that was started by a good friend of mine, Nick White, out of Woodbridge, Virginia, about 11 years ago. And I was actually a client in 2013. I bought my little lab, Charlotte, after my Rottweiler had passed away. I got into bird hunting and I saw my buddy's labs work, and I had to have one. And I
Right.
got this puppy, and I've always had dogs, grew up with dogs, trained dogs, for ourselves, love dogs. But I got this little lab, and she was a nightmare. She's the worst dog I'd ever been around in my life. I got exactly what I wanted. Okay, found the
Right.
breeder. I
Right.
wanted the field trials. I wanted all the certifications. I wanted that dog that wanted to go get some birds. Oh, I got that dog. She was a million miles a minute. I mean, that dog was a pain in the ass, Jeff.
Yeah.
And she's 9 now, and God love her. I mean, she's the reason that all this happened. And who knows? It's so funny how things come about in life. And I see you're got our YouTube page up there right now, guys. Yeah, check it out, and you can see thousands of videos of dogs that we've trained and thousands of testimonials and some podcast episodes for the Big Dog Podcast are up there as well. Not some, all of them. But yeah, thanks for flagging that up there. I appreciate that.
Yep.
YouTube's a big part of what we do. But at any rate, I was a client for Off Leash Canine Training, and back in 2013, spring of 2013, I contacted them and said, "Hey, I got this dog, and I don't know what to do with her." And
Right.
so I spent money I didn't really have to on my day off drive 3 hours to Northern Virginia from where we lived for a 1-hour class. And I did that for 8 weeks. And my wife is like, "You're the biggest idiot on the planet." She didn't really say that, but she goes, "Babe, this makes no sense whatsoever." And I just truly felt like it was the right thing for us to do. And it made no sense. And historically in my life, the less sense it makes to me, the more I know God is leading. And
I was just going to add that in. I was going to ask, did you think there was a
yeah,
path being put in front of you? And there it is.
I did not think that as far as yes, a path where it would lead to. I had no clue. I won't, allege that I'm not intelligent. But I did learn through a lot of trials back in my real estate days that I need to pay attention when there's promptings in my life. And that was a really tough lesson for me to learn back in 2007, 2008. But I learned it and I paid attention. And so this didn't make a lot of sense, but I felt very comfortable and very confident in the decision. And so we started going to these lessons, and it changed my life with my dog. 1 hour, 1 session. It changed everything between me and Charlotte. And we continued on for a couple weeks. And then we took some gaps in between our advanced lessons, and a relationship formed between myself and Nick. And, they get inquiries from people down. What Nick said to me was, "Man, people call the time from Hampton Roads down near Virginia Beach where you live, but no one's an idiot like you and willing to drive 3 hours for a 1-hour class." I was like, "Well, hey, here I am."
Yeah.
So
that's a whole day, 6
it
hours
sucked.
of travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really sucked. And but we committed to it. And I'm so glad that we did, because what happened was a relationship formed out of it. They saw the work that I put in with my dog, and not the ease of which it came, but the comfortability. I was very comfortable in working with my dog. And discussions started to take place. And at the time, I was executive director of a large church down here in Virginia, building churches and managing staff and finances and all of that. And I was very, very happy with what I was doing, and had no interest in doing anything different. However, my background before that was my own businesses, entrepreneurial spirit, always thinking about, opportunities that are out there.
Right.
And so after some back and forth, we decided to open up a location for Off Leash in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And I figured I would train a dog or two a month, make a couple extra dollars, and be able to take the family on a better vacation each year. That's what I like to say were my goals. My wife would push back and say that she knew that was total crap, because I never half-ass anything, and it's always full ass. And here we go. So, 18 months later, we opened a location in the Bay Area, California, as well as San Antonio, while I was still working full time, at the church. And I guess, we opened up in Virginia in 2014, and I left the church late 2015 and went all in on the dogs. And the purpose was to control my time.
Right.
Again, control what you can control. And I wanted to have more control of my time. Still very active with the church. Pastor Stu, he's one of my best friends, serve on the board there. My family's very active there. But God was screaming at me to see what we could do with this dog piece. And so we got focused on that and put all of our energy and efforts in on it. My family was all in on it, and we grew. And now we've had some locations, we sold some locations, and now like I said, 9 locations across the country. Need to get that map updated a little bit. I grew faster than my web guy apparently. So we got it's just been great. But it is a franchise model within. So my 9 locations are a part of about 172 locations across the world. So primarily in the continental US, but we do have locations in Hawaii and the UK as well. So it's pretty exciting there. There's my family. You can see there. That's an old
Very
picture.
nice.
I need to update that. Oh my gosh. And that beard's a little darker. Wow. So within Off Leash, though, it created this opportunity for me to pursue other businesses that would help my clients because, my team, again, they do a great job doing what they do. And so when we train your dog, it is very rare that we're ever going to see you walk through our door again because we did the work. We taught you how to maintain it and enjoy your life with your dog. I don't want you to have to do a bunch of refreshers. I don't want you to have to come in for more training for a problem that we should have fixed initially. We're going to do that work on the front end so that you can go do life with your dog. However, there were costs involved with acquiring that client, and it sure is a lot easier to provide opportunities to an existing client than it is to keep finding new clients. And so we did. We started thinking about this boarding and daycare, and we went that path, and we opened that in spring of 2020, and I shut that mug down in October of last year, just as quick as I opened it up. And the problem that came to me with that was it was a great business. It was a very profitable business. We grew to the second largest in the region in under a year, and we did it differently. However, staffing sucked. And it was a revolving door. And I think in any other hiring climate than we're in currently, I wouldn't have shut it down. But the staffing climate is so tough right now, in my opinion. And I think others would agree with me, particularly for those entry-level jobs. I mean, I've got McDonald's down the road starting you at $16 an hour and giving you a free iPhone. I can't compete with that when I got someone coming in who's going to be in a yard playing with dogs or picking up dog crap all day or things like that. So the turnover piece was difficult because we couldn't compete, and it's hard work.
It's hard work, and you are being trusted with a family member. We have a kennel we use when we go on vacation. And there was a breakdown, and our boys, because of our fostering that we do, we crate feed. It's really the only time they're in their crates, but because we never quite know what's coming in through the third crate with the foster, we have it's rule in our house: crates equal food. Well, that note for the kennel time, because they share a space when they're together, but it just got missed to feed separate, and there was a big scrap, and it was a problem. So the fact that you would put your integrity out there as such to close something you just opened speaks volumes to me. And it should speak volumes to anybody that might pick this up and be considering you for your services, which isn't the point of our time together. But
but I appreciate that because it was
and
tough.
I'm going to say it.
I appreciate that because a lot of people, because there were some stuff. I mean, we had staffing issues, and we had some staff who got let go because they could not maintain the standard. And they went on social media and started making a whole big thing going on. And as you know, particularly being in the rescue world, if it has to do with dogs or animals in general, and it's something negative on social, boom, it's going. And so, we were able to work through that fine. That was whatever, because facts are facts, right? Anybody can say anything, but the reality is what the reality was. But I just found myself in a space where I'm like, you know what? This has taken 30 to 40% of my higher level staff's energy and time for what's contributing to 5% of our profit. This is silly. And I was
most owners don't even look at those numbers.
Yeah, forget that. Math is easy. Like, I'm an emotional guy, but math is math. And if the
Right.
math is telling me, look, I'm not going to get upset about it because it's math. And
Right.
so you can't just be excited about math when the numbers play in your favor and make you feel like a stud. You got to pay attention to the math too when it says, hey, you might have been wrong and you need to make some changes. And
Right.
again, I come back to I feel very fortunate that we had the training business and we weren't just stuck on, hey, this board and daycare is our sole source of income, and shutting it down takes away from our ability to live. I don't know. I probably still would have shut that joke. I come from nothing. So having nothing doesn't scare me at all.
Right.
I come from nothing and I've had a lot and I've been back to nothing and I've gained again. Um, but that doesn't scare me. I probably still would have shut it down if we couldn't maintain the standard.
Yeah.
And we couldn't maintain the standard. I was looking for a third facility here in Southeast Virginia for my training business that continues to grow. And I was like, why am I going to lease or buy another facility when I have the perfect facility right here that we can
Yep.
just repurpose from boarding and daycare to training? I can do it overnight. Let's
Yep.
just do that. So
Yep.
we gave all of our clients a heads
Good for
up,
you.
refunded everybody that had outstanding obligations or commitments with reservations. We maintained the boarding on the books through the end of the year because holidays is big for boarding. Sure. But the daycare piece we shut down into September, and it was great. And it allowed us to put our energy and focus on other things. The main thing, we also have an underground fencing business. We have pet waste removal business. And these are all things that are great and able to be done, more profitable than the boarding and daycare, if I'm being fully transparent.
Yeah.
And the liability also is so low because, to your point, with your experience where the feeding got messed up and there was an incident, that was such I don't care how well staffed you are, how well intentioned you are, how good the human beings are that work in these boarding and daycare environments. There's not going to be a day where there isn't an issue.
Right.
And whether it's dogs playing together, and they could be a group that's played together every day for a year without incident. Dogs, like people, just have bad attitudes some days.
Yep.
And that's going to set something off, and there can be something. And I didn't love that exposure. I didn't love that liability. So we removed it from the business model. No problem.
Yeah. And you know, in full credit, because people know me locally and they may know of where I went, to be 100% fair, the kennel handled that situation phenomenally well.
Yep.
You know, they called immediately. They took care of our dogs before they called, covered all the costs, you know, so it was all great. And we'll go, and we're still a customer.
100%, because they did it right.
Exactly.
They were honest.
Yep.
They handled it right away.
You said about how the auxiliary businesses make you more money. Sure. And I want everybody watching to kind of really dial in on that. Not because, oh, hey, look at Josh making all this money, but think about what happens when you open your mind up to where you've already acquired the customer, which we touched on earlier, right? Like, you've paid for the customer to become a training customer. Everything else you do helps reinforce the training, right? Because I mean, a messy yard for a dog actually affects their behavior, right? It affects how they behave, what they do, where they do it. But those businesses, I would venture a guess, are more profitable because your advertising model is different. Because you've got the relationship, you own it. And I would challenge everybody listening to really think about their business intentionally, where they can add in those auxiliary things. I mean, I love businesses like yours for that reason, because you get that customer once and you can keep them coming back for more.
Yeah, and we weren't ready for that years ago. You know, we weren't in a position where, one, we could manage adding on another business branch. We weren't in the position where we could communicate it well. And for me, again, you know, I'm so thankful again for my team. And I know I keep saying that, but we are nothing if it's not for my team, whether it's my administrative team or my trainers. You know, I literally, physically cannot talk to all the people that call in each day looking for our services, train all the dogs that come through the door. It's impossible. So we are built and where we are because of the incredible team that I have. And they do such a good job. People ask us for everything. Josh, what food do you feed the dog? What
Right.
place cots do you use? What type of crate do you use? What this, that? And whatever we tell them we use is
Right.
what they want to use because we've created that bond and that trust.
Yep.
And we've been consistent with it. I want people to hear that. If they don't hear anything else today, consistent. Be consistent in your business. Be consistent in your conversations. Because if you're not, people just have no clue. You're not going to have a lot of repeat business because they don't know what they're going to get from you.
Right.
And so for me, whether it's the fencing, whether it's the pet waste removal, whether it's the boarding and daycare business model, which I love and I believe we will go back to at some point in the future when the staffing climate kind of settles down a little bit.
Yeah, you want to deliver a Four Seasons experience, not Motel 6.
But it's got to be
Yep.
at the level and the reputation that we have with the off-leash piece.
Yep.
Because what I'm not going to do is take my off-leash clients and the tens of thousands of them at this point.
Yep.
And now I'm going to get them on my other business that they're trusting me with. And I'm now giving them the Outback experience when they've been over here eating at Morton's.
Exactly.
And that's jacked up because when they come to off-leash, they're getting Morton's. Well, technically, I feel like when I cook a steak, it's better than Morton's. So they're coming to my house and eating steak rather than going to Outback. All right. And so if they can't marry up, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested in doing it. I don't care what the profit margins is because it's my name on it.
Exactly.
And I've worked hard and my team works really, really hard to keep that reputation where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. As the video plays, I mean, our business, I call that a five-star effort, 5-star action, 5-star influence input. If anything we're doing is less than that, we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Because it all matters. Everything matters. So I love that you're so committed to it to the point where you repurpose the space, probably at expense and time and lost revenue, and refunding money is all painful, but it's never painful when it's the right thing to do by your standard and by your mission and values, right?
Yeah. If you're struggling in business and you're worried about short game type decisions, like you're not going to make it. You gotta have clarity and know what you want long term. And yes, that was a total pain in the ass shutting down that business and repurposing the building. And I've got staff and they have families, and we wanted to do right by all of them. And so we wanted to make sure we created opportunities for every single person that wanted one. All of those things were difficult and uncomfortable and not really enjoyable. But long game, it was the right thing to do for our business. It was the right thing to do for the clients and the staff. And I would challenge everybody listening, whether it's your personal life or your business or your employee and employer, whatever, if you're just running around day-to-day short-term decisions, you're never going to be at peace. You're just going to run yourself into the ground, and you will quit. You will quit.
100%. As we get to the top of the hour, look to wrap up our time. So big ticket life, right? Obviously, Josh Wilson, off the leash canine, doing business on your terms. I think that oozes through the screen and the speakers, however you're listening to this or watching it. The other aspect of big ticket life is doing life on your terms. So as we wrap up, what are the things that you do as a reward for all the hard work you're putting in?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Days I'm not in the office, I typically find a way to get back up here. This is outside. If I can't be with my wife or my kids, I have a 17-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter who are amazing. I'm actually playing golf with my son this afternoon. When he gets out of school. There's Devin Ray. We'll be married 20 years this June. We'll be celebrating 20 years.
Cool. I'm 20 years in August.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. Devin is the third person I met when I moved to Virginia in 8th grade. And we started dating in high school, and she's an angel. She is an angel, and we couldn't be more different in personality and things, but God saw fit that, I would be hers and she would be mine. And we've grown up together, and she's the greatest encourager of my life. And she's an angel, and she's an amazing mom, and she's a brilliant person. And she's just incredible. So 20 years with her. If I've got time, we did a lot of traveling last year, and we got a lot of plans this year for the same.
Cool.
But whether we're on the road traveling or I'm hanging out with her at the house, it doesn't matter to me. I'm having a great time. If they're busy and they got stuff going on in their lives and I've got free time, I usually end up back here at the office. There's a piece to doing the work to me where I know I'm giving my team everything that I've got. And that allows me to take comfort and pause. So when I know that I'm dialed in on them and I'm doing everything I need to do, my team's getting everything they need from me. When like last year, my wife and I went on a road trip for 2 weeks. I wasn't thinking about work at all. And I was available if they need me. But I've got, again, a strong team who just handles it. So there's my daughter, Kiki, there in the background. She's the volleyball star. We're Notre Dame fans, as you see in the hoodies. Charlottesville, that's where we're at in that picture. That's our happy place. We love to go up there. We're actually looking for property up there.
Beautiful part of the country.
We've talked about buying a farm there for years, and we're going to get that done sooner rather than later. But we love to get out to Napa. We love getting up to Charlottesville, to that area. And it's just that family time, man. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I feel very fortunate in what I do. This is it. I got my buddy over my shoulder, Don Julio, on the wall. He hangs out, keeps me in check each day. But yeah, we tailgate a little bit.
Nice.
I'm getting nervous here. I don't know what they're going to expose me with the Facebook page. But no, man, family is key for me. And I was talking to one of my trainers yesterday. He texted me. Yesterday was my birthday, and he texted me and says,
happy birthday.
I appreciate that. He texted me and says, happy birthday. And he sent me Cash App, one of my trainers. And I was like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Why did you send me money via Cash App? He goes, it's your birthday. Everybody should get something on their birthday, a gift. It's nice to get gifts on your birthday. And, that meant the world to me. Yeah. And he goes, I just appreciate everything that you've done for me. And I said, bro, you're in the family. You choose to be in the family. There's nothing I wouldn't do for any one of y'all. And that's how you got to approach it. And the thing with coming in my family is there isn't anything that I would not do for my family. And that's whether they're my staff or my trainers, or my literal family. But there's a shit ton of accountability that comes with being a part of this family.
Yeah, it's two-way street, and when you read it effectively, it makes it easy.
That's right. And the people
you get the birthday Cash Apps,
right? Yeah, the people that understand that type of accountability and thrive and understand that we've been blessed with opportunities to do what is not normal within our industry, and so it's going to require things that are abnormal and more than most others are willing to do. They thrive and they do really, really well, and they get it. And those that don't make it here, and they probably think I'm the biggest piece of crap on the planet and I'm the worst.
Right.
But that's always going to be the case. So family's key.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that you're doing it. I love that you're living it. I love that you get that time with your family, that you get that time with your team, and the team gets from you all that you can give. That's awesome. You got a great business, doing things awesome, man. It's an honor to have gotten to know you and get to know you more as we work together for ourselves and for each other in that Apex group. But brother, I appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much
Thank you, Jeff,
for joining us. Yeah.
We got to get you on the Big Dog podcast, baby.
Anytime. I will jump on the show.
I'll shoot the link to you.
All right.
Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, hope you love this show. This time flew by. I looked at the clock. It was like 1:15 already. So that tells me it was a great show. I hope you loved it. If you like it, throw some comments down. Give me some reviews on the show. Subscribe to it where you listen to it. And we'll see you next week on The Big Ticket Life. If you're going to live a big ticket life and do business in life on your terms, you got to do big things. It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today. And so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.